So this is the one and only video that I'm going to do about my experience with Kambo and Bufo. I wanted to do a video because I've been getting a lot more questions than I thought I was going to get. You know, my ego was telling me that no one really gives a shit, but that's not true. Because a lot of people are searching for healing, and that's okay. So this is probably going to get really messy, and I'm sorry, but there's just so much that I went through and so much that I'm still going through that even when I talk about it now, my heart starts to race a little bit, my palms get a little sweaty because I don't want to mess it up, but at the same time, it's not perfect and I'm still learning. So this is just to give you my experience and my journey. This isn't to convince anybody to try the medicine. I'm not going to tell you that you should try this, even though I would love everybody to experience what I did. It's at your own discretion and where you are in your life and what you're ready for, and if you're ready to surrender to everything that you are already. I told myself that I was going to be really mindful about who I shared my experience with, because the previous skin that I was wearing didn't understand that not everybody's going to be receptive. Not everybody's going to understand you. Not everybody's going to listen to your experience with holistic medicine and be curious. Some people are going to be closed off to it, and that's okay. And so I told myself I wanted to be mindful when sharing my experience. If I felt any kind of blockage or any kind of just if I felt like somebody wasn't receiving me, then I didn't want to share, because I didn't want it to damper what I went through, and I didn't want it to discredit what I went through. I just didn't want it to, I didn't want to give people the opportunity to shut me down, but I'm realizing now as I say that that kind of sounds stupid. So I'm putting this video on the internet. And I think that a lot of people should know about this modality of healing. You know, I have my own opinions about Western medicine and holistic medicine. I think that I have a better understanding of holistic medicine now. I've always been a little bit in tune with my intuition, a little bit in tune with, you know, God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. But I just didn't, there was just something that there was no connect. And I had never experienced it firsthand. And I have always looked, I've always searched, and I always believed that I was going to, whatever I was seeking was always going to find me. Now, this isn't to say that this medicine is the end all be all, you know, it's not the answer. It didn't give me all the answers, but it definitely was a conduit for that to happen. It definitely was the catalyst in shifting my perspective and opening my eyes a little bit more, and my third eye, to what is really happening inside, and who I really am, and what I really am, and that I am everything. And I think that I used to romanticize the idea of spirituality before. I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. I have met spiritual healers, and when I met them, it was kind of like I was receptive to it, but not all the way. Like, there was definitely a wall, and I wasn't like, prove me wrong, but I was definitely in my mind, and they could read it also. I was saying, show me what this is all about, and prove to me that what I've been seeking actually exists. And after experiencing this, I have no doubts in my mind that there are people on this earth that are sent to heal. Each time that I tell this or speak about it, I feel like it gets diluted a little more and more each time I tell it. So that's why I wanted to just get it out and not really have to keep talking about it, because I don't want to I don't want to dilute it anymore. So I first initially went to Studio City, California, to do just Kambo. My aunt Vanessa, she's a life coach. I'll put her Instagram handle in the description. She's a life coach based out of LA. She had told me about Kambo, and right away I was interested, because I'm just inquisitive, and it sounded amazing to me. So I went there to do Kambo Saturday and Sunday. I did Kambo Saturday. After doing Kambo Saturday, I chose not to do Kambo Sunday. So it was a group session, and I'm not going to get into every single detail because I just feel like I can't right now. We had Ananya and Diana and Carlin. They're all spiritual healers. We had them as our guides through this journey. So Kambo is a secretion from a frog that is scraped off their back, and I believe that it's put on, it's has to sit for a couple of years. I'm not sure. When it's time for use, it has to be moistened up, and usually the guides moisten it up with their own saliva so that their enzymes can break down everything, and it can be applied to the person receiving the medicine. They do it like that because they want their spirit to be able to, be put into you and help guide you through this. When you meet them, they basically do a reading on you and your energy. They listen to your intentions, and they see where the medicine should be applied. Mine was my solar plexus chakra, so it was right here. And they decided that I needed 2 burns. So they burn your skin, and they place 2 burns on my solar plexus. So I was the last person to go, and everybody around me was, going through their journey, purging, throwing up, and I was just seeing it, and I was kind of getting antsy, and I'm like, okay, let's do this already. And finally it was done to me. Instantly it was just heat throughout my whole body. And I mean, it happened within 15 seconds. Instant nausea. A lot of people recall visions and emotions, and I didn't really feel any of that. I just it was hell. I wanted it to be over. I instantly just started throwing up. I'm like, should I lay down? No, that's not comfortable. Should I sit up? No, that's not comfortable. I just wasn't comfortable at all. When you're about to throw up, and you get your palms start to get sweaty, and that was my entire body. It was just, I was sweating. It wasn't a pretty experience, but it definitely served its purpose. So basically you're purging all of these toxins. Your body's releasing these toxins, and I believe the peptides in the venom basically goes to any part of your body that needs healing. And I don't know all the logistics of it, and I'm sorry. So that's that on Kambo. After it was over, after I finally felt okay, I was throwing up for about maybe 10 minutes. but it felt like forever. Finally, I was able to lay down and I felt okay. And I felt relaxed. I felt tired. And I kind of just laid on my mat and covered myself with a blanket and let everybody finish out their journey. When I went home, I'm like, I'm not going Sunday. Like, I don't want to experience this again. There was nothing about it that made me say, yeah, let's do that one more time, because that wasn't the case. So Sunday, I decided to just hang out with my family because I don't go to California that often, and I wanted to hang out with them. And then my aunt said, they're doing Bufo tonight. Do you want to do it? DMT. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And I just thought it was DMT. Like, I've heard of DMT before. People that I know have experienced DMT. You hear Joe Rogan talk about DMT. You know, it's just this blissful experience. You see shapes and, you know, things take on different forms. And it's kind of like this layer of a dimension placed over the actual dimension that we're in. And so I had all of these ideas in my head already as to what it was going to be. But I believe Bufo, what's the word? The active ingredient, I don't know what the word is 5-MeO-DMT, along with other things. And this is also a secretion out of a gland of a different frog. Ananya, she actually gathers the frogs herself and collects the medicine herself. So it was in the same room, but it was at nighttime, and it was 5 of us, and 3 girls, and then Ananya and Diana. It was much more intimate. You know, we just had our pillows and blankets, and then there was a blanket and a pillow in the middle of the room, and then, you know, they have their tapestry hanging on the ceiling. Ananya and Diana are microdosing also along with this, so they're also experiencing this, but just on a smaller scale. But they do this so they are connected to spirit, so they can guide us through this. So the way that they do it is in layers, and this is basically how much they feel should be administered to us and how far we should go. So I was first this time, and I sat in front of Ananya and Diana. One was to my left, one was to my right, and I'm sitting crisscross in front of them. I inhaled, and there's so many more details, but I'm just not going to get into it because I'm already at 60 minutes. I inhaled the Bufo, and instantly I felt just this feeling of, I didn't see anything. I had my eyes closed and I just felt everything. I felt like a layer of just comfort all around me, the most blissful feeling I've ever felt in my entire life, of safety and comfort, and like I was home. And I get emotional talking about it now because I just started releasing so much pain. And by releasing, I'm crying, like weeping. And, you know, they're right beside me. They're holding my hand. They're talking me through it. And I'm just crying and crying. I mean, like that kind of cry, like the hyperventilating crying. But it was such a cathartic release of pain, and some of it was mine, but some of it wasn't. I felt what was familiar, and I felt what wasn't coming from me. And this may sound very woo-woo and very a little weird, like crazy, but there's no other way to explain it. I'm crying and they're talking me through it, And it just felt like I was releasing years and years and years and lifetimes of pain. Pain that I was harboring inside of me, and I was giving it a very comfortable home. And I slowly started to come out of it and come back to this dimension. And I was able to open my eyes, and Ananya directed me to use my voice, use your voice, because it's like you almost forget that you have a human voice. Like she asked me, what are you feeling? And I just was crying, and I was just pointing to here, and I just kept saying pain, pain, over and over. And I'm coming out of it. And then she goes, okay, now I want you to understand that pain, and I want you to find where it came from. So the second layer, I inhale more of the Bufo. Now the second layer was I was still very here. I had my eyes open, I was looking around, I kept telling them I'm still here. And then I closed my eyes and I tried to find where it was coming from. I had a vision. I saw a woman. She looked kind of like my mother. She was darker complected. She looked like a native woman. Beautiful. She was strong. I could feel her energy. There was pain being inflicted onto her. And I couldn't see who was doing it. I just saw her kind of at the base of a tree, like holding the tree, looking over her shoulder and crying. But I felt her strength as if it was mine. And I also felt her pain as if it was mine. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if she was, if that was a past life, or I don't know if that was just, I don't know. I'm still figuring everything out. The third layer was the final layer, and it was the most intense layer. I inhaled again, and basically when you exhale, before you inhale, you exhale all of the air out of you, like until you have nothing left, and you slowly, it's like a whisper inhale. You don't put your lips up to the pipe. You just kind of whisper and inhale like that. And as I was inhaling, my body just felt heavy, and I just fell back, and they guided my body back, and I was gone. And by gone, I mean that my consciousness left my body. I could see it. I could see my body. I could feel my body, but I couldn't move my body. So it was almost like lucid dreaming. Once I fell back, that's when the work on my body, I felt like that's when it began. Ananya and Diana, they started chanting, singing, working with their drum. They have these little shakers. I don't know what they're called. I should have asked them. I have so many questions for them. Working over my body, working with the shaker. I could feel it. I could hear it. I felt as if, as I went back and I fell back into that state, I just felt like, okay, here I am. I've completely surrendered. Take me to wherever I need to go and whatever I need to see. I just felt like I was transcending my body the entire time. And I felt like there was an umbilical cord connected from me to them. And in that moment, my conscious told me, these are your healers. These are your spiritual healers. These women are cleansing you. And they're going to take you through this and guide you through this and bring you back. And I felt safe. And it was the same feeling as the first layer, just bliss, pure, you know, everything that I had ever lived in my lifetime. I understood. I understood everything that I've ever went through. I felt connected to everything. I felt like I was, wherever I came from when I was birthed into this world, that's where I went. And it was life-changing. I could feel my eyes going crazy behind my eyelids, and I slowly started to come back. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any shapes or I didn't really see anything. I just felt everything. I experienced it, wholesomely experienced it. When I opened my eyes, I just kind of laid there and tried to process what I was going through, or what I had just seen. And I just kind of laid there with my eyes looking up at the tapestry, and tears were just rolling down my eyes. And I felt so, I just kept saying, like, oh my God, like, oh my actual God. That just happened. Like, I know, like, I understand now, and I know what I am. And it was just joy, so much joy. When I came back to consciousness, when my consciousness came back into my body, the first thing I asked was, did I die? And Ananya said, yeah, a couple times. And I was just shaking my head and like trying to process. And before we had started the ceremony, like somebody said happy birthday, and it was like a really quick transaction. And Bobby, who was also going to experience the medicine, she goes, oh, it's your birthday? And Ananya kind of smiled and was like, no. And then it was like an inside thing between them. I don't know. It was a really quick thing. And when I came back to, someone said, happy birthday. And it was like, I just started crying. And I'm like, that's why you said that, because I literally felt like they had just birthed me back into this world. They had just pulled me back from wherever I was from, and they brought my spirit and my consciousness back to my body. And I felt like a baby. I felt like people just pulled up. So they brought me back into this life, and I asked them, what do I do now? Like, how do I transition back into this life with the knowledge that I have? And they just said, a day at a time, and you know, live presently. And I've always heard that throughout my whole life, and I've always tried to do that. And there was always just, I just tried so hard, and I just felt like there was something that wasn't connecting, that I didn't understand. My roommate's home. I'm making a video of my experience.
Okay, I don't want to run it.
Yeah, it's already.
Already
I'm gonna edit it.
Okay.
Are you gonna go for a walk?
You want me to?
Yeah. It's so different talking to this than talking to you. So when I came back into my body, I felt like I needed a new name. I asked them what my name was because I felt like I kept referring to myself in third person, like she, the person who just experienced that. She died. It was more of like an ego death. My ego was dissolved. And basically now is, it's been like almost a week. I've just been trying to integrate that experience with normal life because what I went through was very surreal, and I almost questioned myself, like, did that even happen? Or was that like a dream? And the more I talk about it, the more I feel like it just doesn't even, my words, I don't have enough humanly words, and I've said that before, to describe what I went through. My perspective has shifted. So I feel like as you go through life, it's kind of like you're leveling up, each time you learn something new, or each time your perspective changes, I feel like your consciousness is expanded. And with expansion, things change. They, positively change. And I can already, feel the relationships around me changing, just because of the perspective that I have now. When you're lying there kind of lifeless, things are put into perspective. It's very humbling. And when I still get frustrated, I still have the same feelings, I'm still me, I still have my personality, but there's things that are different. And I'm going to continue searching. Really now, I know that I don't have to look very far because everything is in me. I already have all of the answers. We're already born with all of the answers. We already know everything that we need to know. But when we're brought into this life, we were born to forget. We were born forgetting. And maybe that's not even right. Maybe we, as children, because children are very intuitive. But along the way in life, we forget. And I feel like, everybody's coming to God moment is when they remember. And I remembered, and I remember now. It's the start of a new chapter. It feels like a start of a new chapter in my life. And now I have more tools to help me understand what we go through and how we internalize things and how we hold things and harbor things inside of us and how they can affect us daily. Are you serious?
Can I use your pipe because I broke
Oh
my
God. This video is going to be very messy because I've had lots of distractions and phone calls. We have all of the answers that we already need. And I think that I have to keep reminding myself that, you want to feel that feeling again. I want to feel that feeling of bliss again, and I don't get it throughout my daily life. And so it's kind of like a learning process of how to remember, that my highest self is always there to tap into and to guide me. And I had all these intentions going into this, and it fulfilled those and more. I feel like I relinquished fear in my life. You know, I probably would have done this video before. I'm not opposed to putting my face in front of a camera and talking to the internet, but I did have a lot of self-doubt and you know, seeking approval. I was seeking approval of anything. You know, I would second guess if I would post something or if I would do something. If one little thing kind of deterred me away from what I wanted to do, I would allow it, because I was just second guessing myself and my decisions and kind of downplaying my creativity and my creative process. And because I am very creative, and you know, my mind is just is always working, is always thinking about things to do and things to create, and I had suppressed that for a long time, and I'm not going to anymore. And I'm, you know, things might be a little bit different for me now, and that's okay. And people are either going to be receptive to it or they're not going to. And if they're not receptive to it, then that's okay. Not everybody is going to be happy that you change. Not everybody, you know, everybody's gonna want to keep you how you were. The weeding out of the people who need to be there and the people who don't is necessary. So with all that being said, because I've been getting, that was another reason that I wanted to do this, because I was getting so many questions and so many, hey, what was your experience like? Or can I get the details? And I can't type all of that. And I want to be able to share this with people because I feel like it's helpful. And, you know, if you feel like depression or anxiety, or even if you're just, you know, you just want to live a more joyful life, and you don't necessarily know how to get there, there's always things that you can do before resorting to, you know, pills or medication. And that might not be a popular opinion, but that's my opinion. And I just think that there's a lot of things to explore in this life, and this has definitely helped me. And you know, if it can help anybody else, then that's what the point of posting this was. So I will tag Ananya and Diana and Vanessa, my life coach, my aunt, in the description of this, and feel free to reach out with any more questions. And I hope for light for you and wherever your journey takes you. So thanks for listening.